Hello and welcome. You have tuned into Buy Now, Sell Now on ET Now. I'm Shrishti Sharma and with me today is Vinny Motiwala. And viewers, this is the show where you get all your stock-related queries answered from the experts. And today, in a short while from now, we'll connect with them and we'll also discuss in detail what all is happening in the FMCG space as Winnie is here with us and she tracks the sector closely. But before coming to that, let's have a look at what the markets are up to because Winnie, Bank Nifty is quite flat today, but look at the roaring move in Nifty 50 and especially Reliance taking it off.
Absolutely. Reliance is taking it off and heavyweight taking it off does support in terms of the move coming in for the benchmark as well. As of now, look at the Nifty 50. When you look at the Nifty 50 trading with gains of almost 0.3% and trade 19,459 around those levels is what this Nifty is at. Nifty Bank subdued move, just almost flattish, just 0.06% uptick there. Mid cap, small cap, that's interesting, right? Because that is again back on the up move. Mid cap, slight outperformance compared to the benchmark indices. Small cap space too performing in tandem with the benchmark indices. Let's move on and look at which are the individual sectors that are doing well. Okay, today we have the realty space, Nifty Realty. That's the top sectoral gainer today, trading with gains of more than 1.5% as of now, trading with gains of almost 1.9%. Energy space, Nifty Energy, that's doing well as well in trade today, up 1.6%. And infra media, that's the buzzers in trade, while among the losers and sectorally, which is doing not that good and lagging, is the Nifty IT space. That's down almost 0.2% in trade. So yes, surely we are keeping an eye out on this one. But like Shrishti was saying, we're going to look at what the FMCG stocks are doing because we had a lot of Q1 updates that came in for FMCG companies, and that's what we're going to be discussing on our BNSN Lens. At the Buy Now Lens topic today is FMCG. So let's look at Marico. What did Marico say? One, Marico highlights that they're seeing a decline in terms of the revenue in low single digits. Business in India, the volume growth over there is seeing a low single digit volume growth is what we could expect. So revenue decline, volume growth in low single digits, so that's going to be sub 5% is what we could be expecting. Rural demand, that is the highlight that has come in now, is that has remained unchanged versus last quarter. So not much in terms of a recovery traction that we saw last time. So that is that subdued level for rural recovery is what Marico is highlighting. Other than that, they are expecting an uptick in terms of the healthy demand trends in Q2 FY24. Margins, they're expecting an expansion because obviously we've seen commodity prices cooling off as well. So yes, margins, maybe that's the one that could see an expansion as well. And especially copra prices, which is for Marico, has corrected 11% year-on-year basis. And that accounts to almost 35% of Marico's raw material costs. So that's an important factor that we're keeping an eye out on. One important thing that is differentiating Marico from a GCPL or an Adani Wilmar in terms of the Q1 update is that the business has seen destocking in Saffola edible oil, and that is a factor. We are saying that Marico is a bit of subduedness in terms of performance. While in terms of Godrej consumers, let's look at that. What they're saying is they're expecting a robust double-digit growth, steady business and steady performance coming in Indonesia, double-digit growth in volume for personal care as well as the home care business, which is seeing a strong growth as well. And correction in palm oil prices obviously is a factor that one should keep an eye out on, and that is what is supporting and could support maybe GCPL going forward as well. For Adani Wilmar, the same thing doesn't work out well in terms of the correction in edible oil and palm oil prices because they are producers of that. So that impacts the profitability of the company, and that is what differentiates Adani Wilmar from them. But now in terms of the overall understanding, how does this actually shape for these companies going forward? Let's bring on board our experts for today. We have Sneha Podar joining in with us, while also we have Kunal Bothra joining in with us this morning as well. Very good morning to both of y'all. And Sneha, I'm going to come to you. Looking at the Q1 update so far, seems like that rural recovery, a bit of a pause that could continue even this quarter. So that is that impact that is still there for most of these FMCG companies. And other than that, low single digit revenue growth is what Marico is seeing. What is the expectation that one should have, and how are you looking at it in terms of the move for the stocks price? How are they fundamentally looking now? Because Marico has been one of the stocks which has not even performed. So in the FMCG pack, what would you be looking at right now fundamentally?
Sure. Very good morning. So basically, as you said, the rural demand has not picked up really well. But then see, if we look at the overall volume growth, the recovery had started marginally from Q4 itself. and in Q1 the demand recovery has been pretty decent. There are some signs of revival on the rural front, and it's expected that now with the inflation peaking out and with now the normal monsoon, that we're seeing good progress on the monsoon front. So probably from Q2 onwards, the gradual recovery in rural demand would start kicking in. So from FY24 perspective, we are quite positive that the gradual recovery in rural demand would be seen, and thus for the full year, hopefully the overall demand trend should be healthy for the FMCG companies. In fact, the key raw material prices that had started fallen from Q4 onwards, so the full impact of it should be seen from this quarter onwards, and thus though the on the revenue front the growth is seen limited, but then there should be margin improvement that should kick in for these companies, so the overall profitability growth should be pretty healthy. So we are quite confident that on a full year basis these companies would be able to do well. And if we even the kind of expenditure that these companies have started doing again on the advertisement and the promotion front, so it shows that the management is pretty confident of the demand recovery in the subsequent quarters. So our topic would be in this sector would be GCPL, wherein we are seeing the company performing really well consistently for last 3 years after the sluggish 4 5 years of previous growth. So the kind of strategy the new management is adopting, so that is really working for the company, and it should continue to do well. So GCPL is one topic for us, and second would be ITC, given the healthy overall demand recovery and the healthy margin outlook. And now with the buzz of hotel business getting demerged, so probably that would keep the stock in action.
GCPL and ITC are the two top bets coming in on the back of fundamental side from Sneha. But Kunal, coming to you, a lot of these FMCG counters are showing some up move because Dabur yesterday was up. Even today, the top gainer in the list is Britannia. So how do you see the space, and what will be your top recommendations?
From the fresh breakout names, I think HUL is coming out as a strong breakout candidate. I think trading about the 2,700, 750 odd mark. It's been looking attractive. The stock has formed a triangular pattern setup on the daily chart. So that's the stock which I would pick up. ITC, of course, is the other stock which I've been bullish on from longer term play. Would continue to be bullish on ITC for the next 1 to 2 years at least. But I think HUL is something which traders could look at a fresh buy.
Is something that we could look at a fresh buy. That's the word coming in from Kunal. So GCPL and ITC is what Sneha mentioned, and HUL is a word coming in from Kunal. On that note, viewers, we're going to slip into a very short break. Don't go anywhere, because once we're back, we'll be taking all your stock related queries, and do start sending us your queries soon on the WhatsApp number that will be flashing on your screen. Welcome back, and you're watching Buy Now Sell Now on ET. Now let's get started with all your stock related queries. And if viewers, you're joining us for the first time, you can send us all your stock related queries that you have either on the short term or the long term, and you can send us your queries on the WhatsApp number that is flashing on the screen, or even on our Twitter page or any of our digital pages. But let's get started then with the first query. And Kunal, the first query, this is coming for you. This one is from Ashish from Delhi. They have Ircon International at 2,800 shares at 88 rupees, while JM Financials 103 rupees is the buy price, and they have 800 shares. What should they be doing with this? Should they exit or continue to hold this?
Continue to hold both of these names. Ircon, you can look to add if it dips say closer to 75, 76 mark. There could be a potential correction to those levels, looking at the way the stock has consolidated. And for JM Financial, again, I think the stock seems to be getting into a slight uptrend. Many of these brokerage stocks have started to pick up pace. Angel One is at a fresh 52-week high, the last I remember. So, these stocks have done reasonably well. JM Financial is on the path of recovery. Give it more time. I think it should at least come back to your cost price or higher.
Okay, Kunal, the next question is also for you because Rima, on your suggestion, bought PFC at an average price of 200 and she's sitting at a profit of 12%. So she wants to know at this point in time, should she book profits and or rather hold on? And the other advice she's seeking is on Deepak Nitrite, holding at an average price of 1760 rupees. Can she add more in this particular name?
So PFC, it depends. If you're looking at it from a trading kind of a mindset or a framework, then a 10% plus 12% gain in the last 2 or 3 weeks, if I'm not wrong, that's the time when I initiated to buy on PFC. So that's a very good return by every means. So I think you can look to consider booking out profits and switch to some other name. BHL is something which I recommended yesterday. That looks attractive for a potential target of 100 plus. For Deepak Nitrite, I think you can continue to hold on. I think the stock is going into a breakout mode. It's trying to retest the resistances every time. It's failing to cross over, but I would believe that an eventual breakout above the previous resistances should happen for Deepak Nitrite. So 2,350 is the breakout point for the stock. Give it more time. Possibly in the next 3 to 4 weeks, you could expect a strong breakout on the upside. Hold on to the stock.
Okay. Sneha, Vijay wants to know whether ICICI Bank is a good investment at the current price, and also wants to understand when the markets are going at a high, what should one be doing? The retail investors, should they keep these high value stocks, or what is it that they should be looking at, and also the view on ICICI Bank?
Yeah. So ICICI Bank has been consistently delivering good numbers. So, I mean, it is an ad at all the levels. If you are a long-term investor, this is one stock which should be kept in portfolio from a long-term perspective, because the company has been consistently delivering on the result front, and they have been, one of the best asset qualities in the overall private space. So ICICI Bank is definitely a hold. And if we talk about from the overall market perspective, so the high value stocks, if they are delivering good growth, then they can be held onto your portfolio. So it needs to be consistently monitored where the growth is sustaining for those companies or not. So the valuations would be justified if the growth numbers continues to be pretty robust for them.
Okay, moving on to the next query. And Sneha, once again coming to you, this query is on Usha Martin. Dinesh has bought 1,000 shares at a price of 235 rupees. I'm not sure whether you tracked this one or not, but he's sitting at a good gains right now. So is that a hold or sell with 2 years of time horizon? He can stay invested for the next 2 years.
Usha Martin, we don't have coverage on the stock, but then the capital goods stocks are doing well. So the kind of potential that the overall manufacturing space is seeing, it holds potential for next 2 to 3 years perspective. So probably it can be held, but then yeah, we don't have an active coverage on the stock per se.
Okay. The next one is on NMDC. We have Sushil Kumar, who has bought NMDC at 119 rupees per share. What is the prospect of this stock for the next 3 to 6 months?
Hold on to the stock. I would expect some bit of revival into NMDC. We've seen commodities as a sector, they generally tend to participate in the fag end of a market rally phase. So I think NMDC, many of these commodity stocks, they have not participated as such in the last 2-3 months. Hopefully in the next 3 to 6 months, these stocks should pick up pace. And remember that these are high beta stocks. So when they get into a breakout mode, the move could be a lot more quicker as well as swifter for these stocks. Hold is what I would recommend at current levels.
Okay, moving on, and Sneha, the next question is from Hemant, and he wants a fundamental take on two counters. Firstly is Gandhi Special Tubes, and the other one is GNA Axles. For the next 3 to 4 years, do you feel that these could be good investment bets?
Sorry, we don't cover both the counters.
Okay, Kunal, anything on the charts you can suggest him?
So GNA Axles is something which I do track. I think it's trading at 900 plus mark. Last 3-4 days, the stock has seen a gap up breakout, volumes being on the higher side. So all of that is positive for the stock price, and it's now inching towards a weekly pattern breakout about the 940, 950 mark. So potentially a retest of the 950, 960 levels should happen for GNA Axles. I think you should continue to hold on.
Sneha, we have Thomas George from Kochi who has Hitachi Energy. They bought 100 shares at 1,805 rupees in 2021. Should they book profits or continue to hold this stock? What is it looking like? Can they hold it for 2 to 3 years if you ask them to hold it?
Okay. Hitachi Energy definitely the investor can hold on from a long-term perspective because the industry is growing at a pretty healthy pace, and the company is actually the management has pointed out that probably they are likely to outgrow the industry growth. So with the semiconductor issues resolving, the margins are set to improve for the company, and the company is pretty confident of delivering double digit kind of margins by FY25. So, given the kind of order book that they have, the revenue visibility is pretty strong, and thus we believe it can be held from a long term perspective.
Okay, moving on to the next question. The next question is from Ajay, and Kunal, he's saying that on your recommendations, he has entered BAIL as well as Elecon Engineering. But BAIL entry price is 90 rupees, and Elecon he's sitting at a good profit from 440 odd levels. He has invested in this one. So going ahead, what is the outlook on both of these counters at this point in time? Should they continue to ride the rally or book some profit at this point?
See, I think Elecon Engineering, I'll start off with that. Looks to be an attractive chart, but the only concern now for the stock is the Three Sigma Bollinger Band, and the stock I think is just about very close towards retesting or breaking past about the Three Sigma Bollinger Bands. That could probably mean that you can expect the stock to get into a resistance zone, say in the next couple of trading sessions, if not over the next 1 or 2 weeks. So I think it's better that you start trying to book out profits. I think 665, if I'm not wrong, is the 661 is the higher end of the Bollinger Band. So and the stock is just down some 16, 17 rupees away from this level. So I think it's prudent enough to try and start booking out profits for the stock and wait out for a correction to buy back again. BHEL, as I said, even yesterday and currently, that would be bullish on the stock and expecting the stock to cross above the 100 mark at least over the very near term.
Sneha, Krish has a query. Specifically for this one is on Timken. They're holding 35 shares at 3,275 rupees per share. Should they add more if they have a holding period of 3 years?
Yeah, Timken can be looked at from a long-term perspective because given the thrust that is being laid on the manufacturing industry, so Timken has a presence on the forging side, and thus the demand should be good for them, especially given the diversified order book that they have. So definitely a hold from a long-term point of view.
Sneha, the next question, the next question, Kunal, actually, this one is specifically for you. It's from Veni, a senior citizen from Hyderabad, and she is invested into Bajaj Consumers, 300 shares at a price of 203, as well as Maharashtra Bank is 800 quantity at a price of 32 rupees. Is that a wholesale or average at these levels?
Both the stocks are hold, Maharashtra Bank as well as Bajaj Consumer. Again, as I said, that the last 2-3 months, many of these stocks have seen a gradual recovery. Some of them have been able to break past above their previous swing highs. So was the case with Bajaj Consumer. Even for Maharashtra Bank, the stock is trying to break past about this 31-32 barrier. The patterns for PSU banking stocks overall have been very attractive, and I think it could just be a matter of time that these stocks can find their mojo back, and specifically the momentum with these stocks had shown in the fag end of 2022. So I believe you should hold on to both of these names.
Sneha, we have Dr. Veda who is holding 1,000 shares of Engineers India, and they bought it at a price of 78.9 rupees. Should they continue to hold or maybe book profits now for this one?
Engineers India, he can partially book profit, but then it can be held from a long-term perspective. Given the kind of run-up the stock has seen, so I would recommend a little partial booking, but definitely a hold.
That's a hold coming in on EIL, but moving on, and the next question, Kunal, is from Kiran Chopra. He is a senior citizen too, and he wants to invest into IDFC First Bank, Bank of Maharashtra, and Federal Bank. Any one name that you like amongst the three?
Well, all three of them are good enough, strong enough. So I think it's better that you start diversifying. Federal Bank, I think, is looking as an attractive bet of late over the last couple of days. The stock has seen some good momentum from 125.27. It's come back towards 135, I think, if I'm not wrong. IDFC First Bank holds good stead, and the stock has performed quite well over the last 6 months or so, from 50 odd rupees to now 80 plus mark. Even Maharashtra Bank as a sector looks, the PSU banking stock, they look fairly attractive to me on the charts, and potential for a big breakout for many of these PSU banking stocks, which you can probably foresee over the next 3 to 6 months. So I think all three of them look fairly attractive to me on the charts. Very difficult to pick just one.
Let's move on and talk about the next query. This one is from Pradeep from Kolkata, who's a small investor, but they have a long-term vision of 2 years, Neha. They want your advice on these two stocks. One is Sigachi, 50 shares bought at 273 rupees, while Nazara Tech, 25 shares bought at 682 rupees. What should they do with this one? Should they hold, exit, or maybe look to average?
Sigachi, I don't have a view, and Nazara, I would recommend to actually exit because somehow the journey so far has been very volatile for the company. If the investor really wants to invest in new age tech companies, then it would be better to switch to either Paytm, Zomato, wherein or Policy Bazaar, wherein we are seeing the companies turning EBITDA positive over next 1 year. So there is some kind of traction which is being visible in the financial performance of those companies. Nazara, I have my doubts there.
Okay, so that's the take on Zomato as well as Nazara Technologies. But with this fears, it's time to slip into a short break, but don't go anywhere. We'll be right back to take more of your stock-related queries. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Buy Now Sell Now, a show where we get you answers for all your stock related queries. And moving on to the next question, and Kunal, for this I have to come to you because this is the counter that you have been tracking in the recent past, and that is PNB. Dhananjay has written where he's saying that he is sitting at a 15% profit in PNB. So at this point in time, should he book profits or stay invested?
I would advise to stay put on PNB because my targets are far bigger than what the stock price is trading right now. You can look at it as a calibrated manner. So I think the first target which I have assigned for the stock is closer to 62, but I believe that should be taken out, in the process of this uptrend, hopefully pretty soon. The next set of targets for PNB would now then come back towards at least 75 to 78 mark, which means a potential further upside of another 20 to 25% for the stock price. So you have to be patient enough if you are looking to try and ride the entire trend. If you're a short-term trader, then I think 15% profits, as I said earlier, is a good enough profit zone. You can continue to book profits at current levels. But if you want to ride the entire trend, then I think hold on for much bigger upside for PNB.
Okay, that's the view coming in on PNB. But let's move on, and Sneha, what's your view on Maruti? That's a query coming in from Gopinath R from Mysore, and they want to know, is it a good time to buy Maruti shares at the current price?
Yeah, so Maruti, let the price cool down a little. From a long-term perspective, definitely Maruti is a buy given the kind of stable growth that they have been seeing in the domestic PV side, and given the new launches that the company is doing. So definitely, it's expected to improve its presence on the SUV side, which would improve its overall product mix and drive the profitability. So the company is shifting its focus more towards the SUV side and more towards the petrol and the hybrid kind of models. Wherein the margins are much better. So, and given the focus on the lower discount models, overall profitability should be healthy from next 2 to 3 years perspective. One can look at Maruti from a long-term perspective, but let the price cool down a little, and then he can start adding.
Moving on to the next one, and Kunal, this one is an IT name. Satya has invested into Infosys from a price of 1350 rupees. He actually wants to know the long-term outlook on Infosys. Should he stay put or rather make a switch, given the fact that all these IT names have been underperformer? But what's the long-term outlook on this?
See, I think it always makes sense to hold on to IT names, especially when they are going into a downtrend, and the large cap ones, more formidable ones, and especially stock like Infosys, which I think has corrected quite smartly. I think from 1950 odd levels, I think if I remember correctly, in 2021 end, 22 start, the stock has come back towards 1350 odd mark. Now there could be aberrations, there could be corrections of 40-50 points here or there into the stock price, some results, some news flow which could impact into the stock. But then, all we should be looking out for is to ride the bigger trend and the possible next trend, which should be on the upside. I would believe that Infosys is a good buy at current levels if you have a time frame of 1 year, 2 year plus. And I think if that's the kind of a time frame and the mindset which you have, then you should definitely look to ride on as well as hold on.
Kunal, coming back to you again, we have a query from Prathamesh from Mumbai, and this one is on Chennai Petro. They have 150 shares of Chennai Petroleum at 331 rupees. Should they book profits now, or should they continue to hold stock now?
See, patterns, the chart patterns look attractive, but I think, as I mentioned earlier for one more stock, that even this stock has come back to a high or the upper end of the Bollinger Band, a 3 sigma Bollinger Band, which I believe could be a bit of a concern over the short term. You may actually get into a process where the stock corrects and comes back sub the 400 mark, possibly in the next 3 to 4 weeks. So it's better to try and start booking out profits, or at least trade your stop losses significantly higher. Maybe 420, 424 could be a level where you can trade your stop losses if you're looking to ride this trend for Chennai Petro.
Okay, Sneha, the next query is from Bishakha from Kolkata, and he's invested into 2 sugar names, 100 shares of Renuka Sugar from a price of 47 rupees, and he also has 100 shares of Dwarikesh Sugar from a price of 96 rupees, almost near to the current market price as well. So going ahead, what is the outlook on these, and what sort of a return expectation he should have if you are advising to stay put?
Okay, he can stay put with Renuka Sugar from a short to medium term perspective. Given the kind of surge that we are seeing in the sugar prices and the kind of potential that is emerging from the overall ethanol space, so one company can be held from this space, and it's better to stay put with Renuka compared to Dwarika Sugar.
Kunal, we have a query on Karur Vysya Bank. Mr. Sundaram is holding 1,000 shares of Karur Vysya at 94 rupees per share. What is the immediate target they want for this one, or if, to the shortest target that could be possible that one should keep for this one?
I think 138 to 140 could be a target range for Karur Vysya Bank. The stock yesterday also I think had retested this level, but it failed to hold on to that level was reversed quite immediately. So I think there was some sort of a supplier resistance which has come back into the stock price. That's the nearest target range which you can assign for the stock.
Okay, moving on, and Sneha, Subrata Mukherjee wants to buy HDFC Bank. So what will be your advice for investment purpose, and what sort of a targets he should be looking at?
Okay. So HDFC Bank can definitely bought at these levels as the valuation is pretty attractive. So he can start accumulating because given the little subdued pre-quarterly update that has come up, so probably the stock may consolidate for some time. So he can start accumulating from a long-term perspective. Definitely post-merger, the bank would emerge quite strong, and thus it's a good bet from long-term perspective. Probably over 1 year he can look at a target of roughly around 2200 kind of levels.
Kunal Jayakrishnan wants to know on Naveen Fluorine. They are holding it at 4,586 rupees for the medium term. Should continue to hold, and if yes, when should they exit out of the stock in terms of a target?
Well, hold on to the stock as of now. I think many of these chemical stocks, they've not yet gotten to a big rally mode. They've just consolidated. So I believe that the next big uptrend for Naveen Fluorine could possibly take the stock to at least 4,800, 4,900 marks. So I think you should stay invested or hold on to the stock till that level.
Okay, stay invested in Naveen Fluorine. That's the advice coming in. But moving on, and Sneha, the next question is from a viewer. She didn't share his name. The query is okay. The next query is from Purnima, and she's holding 30 shares of Sham Metallics from a price of 330 rupees. So at this point in time, can she add more in this name, and what's the outlook?
Okay, basically, the company has recently commissioned a new sponge iron plant. That should actually drive good growth for the company next 2 years. And I believe it can be held from a 1 to 2 years perspective. Though we don't have an active coverage on the same, but we believe the new capacity addition should drive growth for the company.
Okay. Kunal, the next one is from Jay Krishnan from Kerala, and they want to know on IDBI Bank, should one look to buy at the current market price?
Well, I would not be advising to buy IDBI Bank at current levels. I think it's better to buy it on dips. 54, 55 is a good level of support for IDBI Bank. So only closer to that territory is where I think makes sense to go for a buy, because the stock has this tendency of going into a rally and then weeks of consolidation. So it's better to buy this when the stock is at the lower end of the range, and that could be close to 54, 55.
Okay, moving on, and Kunal, the next question is from Raja, and he wants to know, can he enter into Whirlpool and Bata India at current market price with a medium-term outlook?
Well, Bata India, I think you can consider buying the stock, but I think maybe wait out for at least a 50 to 100 point dip. 1550, 1580 could be a good point where you may look to start buying the stock. Whirlpool, I don't track, so I would probably give it a skip.
Sneha, SBI, that's the next query that is coming in from Shrishti KS, who's a student from Bangalore. They want to know if they're ready to hold it for 3 years plus, is it a good time to buy this one?
SBI definitely is a good buy from a long-term perspective, because the this banking name is actually at available at a very attractive valuations, and the kind of the profitability growth that the bank has shown over last few quarters is really recommendable, and the asset quality improvement has been very substantial. They have many subsidiaries wherein the bank is likely to unlock value. Definitely a hold from a long-term perspective.
Okay, that's a hold from a long-term perspective. But Kunal, the next question is on JBM Autos. Ramarao wants to know that today, if we see the stock is actually down 10%, so is this a good time to like enter this particular counter given the uptrend that the stock is witnessing?
So, over the last 2, 3 days, my opinion on JBM Auto has been that the stock has entered into a deep overbought territory. And, when you try and check the overbought territories historically, the stock has this odd tendency of going into sharp reversals, almost like a V-shaped reversal on the downside for stock prices. So, I would expect the stock to correct a lot more from current levels. I would suggest not to buy the stock at current levels. Let the volatility settle down. Let the stock re-establish a strong support zone. That may be closer to 1000 mark as well for JBM Autos. I would not be in a hurry to recommend a buy at current levels.
Sneha, Akash is holding Solar Industries at a price of 4,157 rupees. They're making a slight bit of a loss there as of now, is what they've highlighted. Should they hold average or maybe look to exit the stock, given the current fundamental news that we're getting around this? What's your view on this one?
We don't have a coverage on this company.
You have any view on the charts then for Solar Industries?
Not really, I don't track it.
Okay, then let me take up the next query, and this question is from Thomas. And Sneha, two counters where he has invested 500 shares of Ashok Leyland at a buying price of 154 rupees, and he also has Federal Bank, same 500 shares at a price of 134 rupees. He can continue to hold on in both of these for the next 6 months. So what's your outlook? Should he stay put, and what sort of a target expectation can he have?
Okay. So in both the counters, he can stay put, because if we talk about Ashok Leyland, the the overall demand environment has been quite stable for the CV business. Though in Q1 we had seen a little softness because of the pre-buying that was seen in last quarter, but then overall the demand continues to remain pretty steady, and given the kind of stable raw material prices, we expect the company to do well. So probably he can look at a target of 180 to 200 for Ashok Leyland. If we talk about Federal Bank, so Federal Bank has come out with the pre-quarterly update, which was pretty strong. Post the subdued Q4, the good numbers now that is expected for Q1 should keep the momentum in the stock, and we can expect a level of about 150, 160 for Federal Bank.
Okay. Next query, Kunal, and this one is on JK Tires. We have a senior citizen, Mr. Mahesh, who's holding 100 shares of JK Tires at 195 rupees per share. They bought this around sometime back. They're making a profit. Should they continue to hold or exit the stock?
Continue to hold on. Keep a trailing stop loss of 230 for JK Tires. I think that's a good support the stock has established over the last 1 week or 10 days of this price rally.
Okay, moving on. And Kunal, the next question is from a viewer. He didn't share his name though. Okay, the next question is from Korean, and he's holding 30 shares of Persistent Systems from a price of 5,012 rupees. So is that a hold or exit, or rather average at this point in time? He's a long-term investor.
You can look to average at current levels. The stock has come back towards the support. Hold is what I would recommend, and even look to add or average at current levels.
Okay. Sneha, the next query is coming from Yusuf from Kerala, and they have Spencer Retail is what they are looking at. How is Spencer Retail looking for the long-term time period of around 2 years?
Sorry, we don't cover this stock.
Kunal, you have a view on Spencer Retail?
So not an attractive chart. I think trading at 61 or 62 levels currently. I would suggest a skip. If you have not invested, then I think you should not look to invest into the stock at current levels, or in case if you have, then I think you could look to exit even at current levels.
Okay, that's a view on Spencer Retail. But on that note, viewers, we're going to zip into a very short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more of your stock-related queries after this break. Welcome back, and you're watching Buy Now Sell Now on ET Now. Let's keep it going with all your stock related queries then. And Kunal, we have a short-term trader, Vidya from Chennai. They're holding 40 shares of Reliance at an average price of 2,450 rupees per share. They want to know what should they be doing with this. Should they book profits or keep holding this one?
You continue to hold on. 25.75 could be a trailing stop loss which you can keep for Reliance, and continue to hold on. Or maybe 2,600 as a round figure on closing basis could be a stop loss. Till the time the stock is above these key support levels, I believe that the uptrend could be intact for the stock.
Okay, moving on. And Kunal, once again coming to you, the viewer is Kamal, and he wants your inputs on Cyient and Force Motors. Maybe he can enter any of these names within the next 1 to 3 months time horizon.
Cyient, I would not advise at current levels. Wait out for a correction. The stock has run up exceedingly high. There's a lot of news flow which is attached to the stock. So wait out for better entry points. And so would be the case with Force Motors. In the last 3 odd months, the stock has risen up more than 100% from 1,200 levels or 1,100 levels. It's almost at 2,600 plus mark. So I would believe that it's better to wait out for better entry points into both of these names.
Okay. Sneha, we have the next query from Shri from Cochin, and I want to know actually your advice on fundamentally. They want to add 2 liquor stocks. So what are the 2 stocks that you would suggest, or any 1 or 2 stocks in terms of the names that you would suggest for any of these liquor names for a period of almost 12 months to 2 years?
Okay. I would suggest probably he can look at Radico, which is recently its brands are doing pretty well. United Spirits is another company which can be looked at. The near-term headwinds which was seen for these companies from the cost inflation point of view, so that has started settling down, and given the price increases now that the companies have taken, so the earnings outlook has started improving for them. So if he really wants to look at the liquor space, then probably United Spirits or Radico Khaitan can be looked at. Sula is another name which is a recent IPO, though we don't have a coverage on the company, but it is doing pretty well, and the kind of volume growth that the company is seeing. So that is another space which can be looked at.
Okay, moving on. And the next question, Kunal, is from Prabhu. And his question is this a right time to buy K Fintech, Amber Enterprise, or Iron Exchange? These three names are on his radar. And at what price can he enter if you pick any of them? He's planning for a long term investor, probably for the next 3 years.
So I don't track the first and the last name which you've mentioned, but Amber is something which I do track. Looks attractive at current levels of 2260. The stock has corrected from 4000 levels. It's gone into a price wise as well as a time wise correction. Volumes have also inched up higher for the stock price, so you can consider buying the stock.
Okay, Sneha, the next query is on Arman Financials. I don't know if you track it, but the viewer Akshay is holding 1,000 shares of Arman Financials at 680 rupees per share. Should they hold or sell this one now? For a period of 2 to 3 years, they're ready to hold it if you want to hold them.
Sorry, we don't cover this name.
Kunal, any view on this?
No, I don't track it.
Okay, moving on. And Kunal, once again, a query on IDFC First Bank. Shravan says that he's a big fan of yours and he has bought 130 shares at a price of 49 rupees. He's a long-term investor. What to do in this one?
Thank you so much for that. So I would continue to be bullish on IDFC First Bank. As I mentioned earlier that IDFC First Bank, many of these private sector banking names have just gotten to a second leg of a breakout mode, and I believe that they could probably get into a multi-year uptrend from current levels. So I'm not sure of the current impact on the stock price which could happen post the merger, but I believe that sooner or later, once that settles out, I think the uptrend should continue for IDFC First Bank. So you should continue to hold on.
Okay, on that note, let's get started with the rapid fire and stay at the first one coming your way. We have Mr. Singh holding 100 shares of Apar Industries at 2,700. Should they add more or should they look to exit the stock?
Apar Industries, he shouldn't add more at these current levels, but he can definitely hold on to it given the potential that the company has. Probably if the price corrects a little, then he can look at adding.
Kunal, how do you see West Coast Paper? Kasiraj has bought 1,000 shares at a price of 485 rupees. So can he stay put?
You can stay put as of now, but don't look to add further.
Kunal, Sukesh from Kochi wants to know on DLF, they have 500 shares at 507 rupees. For the short term, how is the trajectory looking like? Should they hold or sell maybe?
Hold.
Okay, moving on to the next one. Sneha, do we track United Phosphorus? Kabir Bedi has bought 150 shares at a price of 690 rupees. Wants a short-term outlook and what to do and what to expect in this one. The name is United Phosphorus.
No, we don't track it.
Kunal, Dr. Subhai has two queries, PNC Infra and ONGC. They're holding PNC Infra at 300 and ONGC at 130. Advisable to hold them or maybe look to exit the stocks?
Hold both of these stocks.
Okay, Kunal, let me take it from United Phosphorus, I'm assuming is UPL. And Kabir has bought 150 shares at a price of 690 rupees. So wants to know the short-term outlook. Sorry for the confusion, Sneha.
It's been a drag kind of a stock. I would not suggest to average or add at current levels, but then just wait out for maybe another 3 months or so if there is any kind of a rally where the stock comes back towards 725, 750 mark.
Sneha, HDFC Life, the viewer Deepak has bought at 692 rupees. How is it looking like for the long term?
It's looking good from the long-term perspective. Definitely buy at these levels.
Okay, Sneha Mahalakshmi wants to know an outlook on Oracle Financial Services. She's invested in 20 shares at a price of 3,820 rupees. What to expect next?
We don't have a coverage on this stock.
Okay. And with that, that was the last query that we were taking for today. So thank you so much, Kunal, as well as Sneha, for joining in with us this morning on ET Now. And thank you so much, viewers, for joining in and tuning in to Buy Now, Sell Now on ET Now. It's going to be a good buy from Shrishti, myself, as well as the team. Put this show together. But don't go anywhere. Markets at noon. We'll take the action forward.